Hello, and welcome to Modeller's Monday Roundup, Episode 10. This layout was built by Tony Bates and is currently under the care of Harrison Brown Models, along with assistance from the Walton-on-Thames Transport and Model Enthusiast Society and the 00 Gauge Association. The layout is built to 00 fine scale standards and measures approximately 40 foot in length and depicts Midhurst Railway Station in West Sussex, which is located on the northern edge of the South Downs, found between Petersfield to the west and Pulborough to the east. The London Brighton South Coast Railway line ran from Pulborough to Chichester via Midhurst, where there was a junction with the LSWR line to Petersfield. At present, we are running the layouts with 50s era stock of British Railways. But once we have enough accurate stock for this period collected, we will also then start looking at stock to represent the 1930s southern era of the station. All the rolling stock in this section belong to either Adrian Harrison or members of the 00 Gauge Association. Although no longer with us, with the railway lines dismantled and the buildings gone, it is a credit to Tony Bates that when we have exhibited this layout, we have had many people from the local area come and say just how well they remember it and how this looks so much like how it used to be. The footage used for this segment was taken at either running session test days with Harrison Brown Models or when it has actually been at exhibitions with Harrison Brown Models in conjunction with the 00 Gauge Association. This layout is due to be exhibited next with the Basingstoke and Northants Model Railway Society's show on the 13th and 14th of March 21.
Okay, so we're actually working on doing some weathering for a building. This building is actually for a HO gauge layout, namely Belmont Barn. We're doing some weathering, and we've already begun by just doing some of this roof, of which we're using a Army Painter Quick Shade, strong tone. So we're now going to carry on, do the rest of this roof. So with this side of the roof now weathered, we're going to turn our attention to the other side of the roof. And again, we'll do these parts here first, these two extension roofs, before we move on to the rest of it. Okay, so with the roof now fully weathered, we've also taken the opportunity to weather the chimney and start weathering the balcony. The weathering for the chimney and the balcony have been done using another of the Army Painter Quick Shades, using this dark tone. As we're going to move on, we're still going to concentrate on just inside the balcony area, and obviously that part there. So that's our next stage. With weathering now applied just inside of where the balcony area is, we're next going to work on some weathering on the window areas. So the windows have now been given some weathering as well. And now we're going to work on to the doors. There's one here and again another one on the other side. We're going to give these a slight colour with the weathering, and to do that we're going to use the Army Painter Quick Shade red tone. Having added some colour to the doors, we're now going to work on the main buildings itself, all the white areas. The actual plan is just to actually take off a lot of the plastic-y looking white. But what we're going to do first is we're actually going to give it a shadowed weathering using dark tone. And then once we've done that, we'll probably then give it another wash with a white again. But first of all, let's give it this dark tone. So with the dark tone wash completely applied all over now, you can see it. Next, it's now going to be putting a white coat back on. If you remember, at the start it was originally white. The reason behind us putting back the white on, because what we've created is like a pre-shadow. Putting the white back on will still allow some of this shadowing to show through, so still showing that weathered effect and taking the pure, pristine look away from the building. We're going to start off with just doing the window areas first. Okay, so we've now added some white back to the windows. All four windows have had some treatment. So far, it's come out as what we wanted it to, so it still gives us some sort of weathered effect. So next is going to be the area of the balcony, and we would also do at the same time do just inside of the balcony area. Okay, so the first side has been done. However, it still leaves three sides still to be done. So the second side we're going to work on will be this side here. With the second side now completed, it leaves us just these two sides here, and we're now going to concentrate on getting both of these done. So the work on the building has now come to an end. All the paint has been completed. It's also been given a coat of cheap hairspray just to help seal it all into place. As we leave this project, I want to talk about the weathering washes that we've used, which was by Army Painter, the Quick Shades. These paints have been absolutely amazing. It's the first time I've used them, personally speaking. I can't fault them. I think they're absolutely brilliant. I obtained these from my good friends over at House and Brown Models. And although as part of the set there was many different paints, I only used a few of them. Some of the others I will probably end up using again in the future, but it's definitely a product I'm going to end up using. So yeah, big shout out and to the Army Painter Quick Shade range, absolutely brilliant. So yes, this is now the finished article of this building, which will go and belong with a 187 or HO scale layout commonly known as Belmont Barn. Hopefully you've enjoyed this process, and hopefully you'll join us for further work that myself as well as other contributors do in the future.
Hi everyone, welcome to my first ever YouTube video. I hope you like it. Let's get started. First we're going to start by removing those pesky connector points that Tamia left so kindly for us on the model. You're going to want to remove these with a hobby knife, but at the same time you want to be careful not to damage the model. We can remove these further by sanding them. I use sanding sticks by Flory Models. With a sanding stick, start sanding away at those remnants that was left behind after you used the hobby knife. The next step is to add the left and right suspension, and then using Tamia's extra thin cement, I will then glue these in place to get a nice strong bond. Now we're going to add is the drive shaft and all the running gear that goes underneath the vehicle. The 222 was a 4x4 reconnaissance vehicle. Just add a bit of extra thin here and here. And there. I don't know what this part's called, but yep, it needs gluing into. Now to add the back and the front swing arms for the suspension. This is a pretty nice moulded spare wheel cover, but it does have a bit of seam lines on the side, so you're going to have to sand these off with a sanding stick. And this is what it looks like after a bit of good old sanding. Now it's time to attach the spare wheel onto the model. Always seem to have trouble trying to find a hole. Finally got there in the end. This is how the gun assembly went together. It was a pretty nice fit. Good work, Tamia, on that bit. The main armament for the 222 was the 2cm 30 length 55 autocannon. The secondary armament was the MG34. The model itself comes with a metal gun barrel, so I use Rocket Rapid super glue to get this stuck together. And this is how it looks after it's stuck. Here I'm attaching the gunner's seat and the loader's seat. Sadly, the kit doesn't come with any lower hull interior. Here's how the gun looks with the gunner's seat and the loader's seat put together. I forgot to film putting the turret together, but this is how it looked. Here I'm attaching the back grille cover and the engine covers. The engine that was in the 222 was the Horsch 3.8 V8 with around 89 brake horsepower, with a top speed on the road at 50 miles per hour. The 222 had typically 3 crew members, a gunner, a driver and the loader/commander. The fenders were attached on the front and the back. Here you can see I'm attaching the storage boxes to the side of the 222. These I imagine were used for the crew members to store their belongings and maybe ammunition for the MG34. Here I attached the mud guards, but to me they looked a bit out of scale. This is how the wheel assembly went. After they are glued into place, they will need a quick sanding around the edges to remove any excess plastic that's sticking up. Armour plating was added onto the back of the 222 to protect the engine from small arms fire. The end of the exhaust was completely flat, so I decided to drill it out and give it more detail. As I don't own a PE bending tool, I had to make do with a steel ruler. I used Rocket Rapid superglue to stick the parts together. This is how it looks. I hope you enjoyed watching the video as much as I did building the model.